In the previous video, I showed the folder architecture for you and we see the application. We signed in successfully and we saw some errors like invalid verification code and the other things, and we successfully arrived the home page and we quit the application, and that was the thing that we saw. So for this video I will explain the codes for you. Now let me show you the Firebase. Here we have phone number and verification code. Of course, if you want to use phone number sign-in, then you will need to do some configuration steps for Apple, Android or web. So all the things are in my GitHub, as I said. If you go to GitHub, to my profile of course, then you can see my popular open source project. Here I explained all the things, all the packages, all the warnings you can see. So let's start with domain folder for this video because it's easy to understand. We have authentication failures, which is created by Freezed. We have some errors like server error, too many requests and other things. So we have authentication user model. It has ID and phone number as string. So also we have authentication service. Here we have stream, we have sign out function, we have sign in with phone number function, and lastly we have verify SMS code function. So we have separated functions. Here we have stream, which is sign in with phone number, and we have feature verify SMS code. We have stream sign in with phone number actually because we want to listen if the user enter the verification code wrongly, then we need to go back and we need to listen this stream. So verify SMS code is the feature. We don't need to listen this, we just need to get our response. So after the domain folder, authentication folder of course, we can go further. We can go to the infrastructure folder and the complicated things are here. So if we go first injectable module, we have third-party dependencies like AppRoute and Firebase out. So because of these packages are third-party dependencies, so we need to register as singleton or lazy singleton or injectable. So because the app router is the root thing and we just need this app router as one instance, we just declare what singleton. And Firebase authentication is also the same, but we don't need to do like singleton because, for example, if we stay here without doing anything, then we don't need the Firebase authentication, right? When we want to click this button, then it will create Firebase authentication instance. So this is the basic thing. Of course, in my previous videos I also showed these things. So let's go to the authentication folder, the real things, the real codes, I mean more complicated codes. So here we have authentication state changes, and in the Firebase authentication we have such function like authentication state changes, and it says like notifies about change the user's sign-in state, such as sign in or sign out, as I said. So if the user is null, then we return empty because the empty user has no any ID or phone number. But if it is not null, then we return the authentication user model with the specific ID and phone number. And this specific ID, actually UID and phone number, are coming from the Firebase authentication package. So we have also sign out function, and it's coming from again Firebase authentication. It's basic thing, just signs out the current user. After we sign in, we can use this function, and the more complicated function is the sign in with phone number and verify SMS code. So let's start with this. We have stream controller, and because we will add some stream here, it's either add failure or tuple. The tuple is for the recent code, actually recent token, let's say. So after we set stream controller, we have the verify phone number, which is coming from the Firebase authentication. So here, if we look at it, we have phone number, we have the other things like verification failed, completed, code sent, and the other thing if you want to use. So here I don't use some other things like multi-factor session, for example. I use verification completed function, and I use code send, code auto retrieval timeout for the timeouts, but here you can implement the code auto retrieval timeouts. You can implement, by the way. So for the verification completed function, it's just for Android. So be careful for here. It's just for Android, as I said. So we just sign in with credential function in here, and we pass the credential which is coming from the function itself here. And we have code send function. It has verification ID and resend token, and it's also void function. So here we add stream to our stream controller. What we add tuple, but because of our stream controller is either add failure or tuple, here we add right section here. So it's actually tuple. So we add tuple, not the authentication failure. For the authentication failure here, we add left side, right? Not right. So if we see again the stream controller, it has the type either, and either has authentication failure and tuple. So for the right side, we have tuple. For the left side, we have failure. So after we set code send function, we just add the tuple to the right side of the stream controller. Now we can go verification failed section, but before this, here I wrote wait for the user to enter the SMS code. So because of that, we use stream controller. We want to wait a bit. We didn't use feature, we use stream. And because of that, we use stream controller. We use add method to add a stream. So after entering the SMS code, we will provide verify SMS code function as soon. So for the verification failed section, we have Firebase authentication exception. Here you can see it's also coming from the Firebase authentication exception dart. And if the code is equal to too many requests, then the result is equal to left side, not right side, because as I said, left side is for failure, right? So you can ask, why do you created a variable as results? Because if I would not do this, then I had to do like such thing, stream controller dot add and events, which is actually left const add failure, for example, too many requests. For each condition I need to do such thing, and it has a lot code, right? So I created a variable which is actually results, and then I paste it to error like this for each one. And after the errors, I just add again the stream to our stream controller. Here you can ask, why didn't you add right or left? Because here I have already said that this is the left, right? For example, here left, 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 and our stream controller is either out failure or tuple. So we had to create the result variable with these type. So be careful about it. After the verification failed function, because this function is stream, I mean the sign in with phone number function is stream, so we need to use asynchronous generated and also yield generated. So we want to yield stream controller stream because of our function is stream. So let me tell you one more time. We have sign with phone number function and its stream. It has either type, and either type has aid failure and tuple. Aid failure is just for failures and tuple is for recent section. After that we have stream controller to add and send stream. We have verify phone number method which is coming from the Firebase, and after we put these variables to related function or let's say parameter, we have verification completed, verification failed, and code sent functions. In the verification completed section we just sign in with credential, and this is just for Android. And in the code sent section we add a stream because we want to wait for the user. And in the verification failed section we created a variable which is result, and we return basically left, and after that we just add a new stream to stream controller. Here send a data, send the event to stream. So after all the things we just yield our stream controller stream because the main function sign with phone number function is a stream. So now we can go further for here actually. So we want to wait for the user and we want to verify the SMS code if it is correct or not. For here we have string SMS code and string verification ID. We just create a variable which is phone number out credential with the type of phone number out credential, phone out credential actually, but anyway. And after that we want to sign in with credential again, but here we need to pass credential, and the credential is actually phone out credential which is created by us above. But it's of course for the try block. In here we need to return some things. We cannot do such things, so it wants us to what feature or either, I mean the either type. So we need to return rights or lefts here. Yeah, so we need to return rights. Why? Because for try block we need to verify our SMS code successfully, right? So we need to return rights, and here we say return unit actually. I mean in the right side we have units and it's like void. If we look at the unit then we can see the thing that's actually nothing, so we return nothing actually here. Okay, so for the catch block we use Firebase authentication exception. Here it's also coming from the Firebase out exception dart, and again here we need to return some things, but it's actually left section because the type is either and left side is failure. We return the related failure with using left function, And this is the implementation of all Firebase authentication service for our application. You don't have to use .z or fp dart, let's say functional programming, at all. Of course, you can implement directly normal Dart without using functional programming actually. So I used because it's so useful, and for the next videos I also will try to use if I will need, of course. So right now we can close the infrastructure folder because we completed the all the things. And before closing the infrastructure folder, you can ask how we can have Firebase authentication. As I said, we use dependency injection and we annotate our Firebase authentication service as IOUT service, or let's say IOUT facade. Because of this, dependency injection is so important. So let's close the infrastructure folder. Now it's time to go application folder. First go out Qubit and create all the things, and then go state. No, of course I'm joking. Here we have late IOUT service and one stream subscription. Why? Because we want to create these things in the constructor. Of course we have authentication qubit constructor, and we put these values to above variables. And you can ask why we have stream subscription, because we will listen it. And of course don't forget to close after use the subscription. This is so important. If you don't close your subscription, then it will be always open. It will not close itself automatically. So if we do such things, just 5 lines of code, then it will understand and close itself if it will not need it, of course. So after these things, we have actually the important method listen out state change stream. And if out user model is empty, then we can understand that is user logged in, boolean is false because the out user is empty. Then we can update our state with emit method. But on the other hand, if our user model is not empty, then we can understand that user is already logged in. So we can update our states with the updated out user as well. We don't do such things. Firebase out.sign out, because we have already defined our function in our service. Let's see. Here we have sign out. So we just need to call this method in our qubit. Yeah, don't use this. After that, we have completed our authentication qubit, and we set out state change method. We listen method, and after that it will decide if the user logged in or not. And that's it for the authentication qubit. For the phone number sign-in folder, we have phone number sign-in related functions. So we separate the qubits, or let's say blocks, or whatever you say. So we have state, what state, lots of state. So we have phone number, SMS code as string. We have verification ID option as option string. We don't want to do as like this. It can be null, of course, if the user is waiting. So we don't want to pass null. So we use option methods because we use functional programming package, which is actually .z for this project, or let's say fp darts updated version. We have again authentication failure with option, with the option type. We have some booleans, and we have token pair, which is actually recent token pair. And we set initial values in here in the empty function. Then we can go to our Qubit. Some people are doing these things in the blog, but it's not necessary because here we don't use events. We don't need to functions such as debounce, some transitions and etc. But anyway, we just handle our functions, our necessary things with our Qubit. So let's go. We have again authentication service with late, because we will create it in our constructor. So also we have duration, verification code timeout duration. So for example, let's go and enter our number, click next, and don't do anything. Okay, don't do anything. It will give error like the verification code's time is out of the box, etc. But anyway, then we have phone number changed, update, next button, status, SMS code changed like this, or if I delete like this, and we have reset function. I will explain this in the presentation layer. And again, we have to close our subscription, which is actually here. I didn't mention, but it's here. It's also, again, we have failure or tuple, the same things actually. In the verify SMS code, we have if state is in progress, then return nothing, because if the user click the confirm button before the verifying SMS code, then we don't want to create a new bug actually. So anyway, now we have verification ID option, which is coming from the Qubit state actually, Qubit state, phone number sign in state, and we fold this if is none or if is some. If is none, then we can understand that verification ID doesn't exist. Of course, this shouldn't happen, so we skip this part and we focus the verification ID section. So here, first we set is in progress state as true and we start the process. So we have failure or success section. We use verify SMS code, which is coming from our service, not from Firebase. It's coming from our service, and we set it in this variable, failure or success variable. So after that, we want to fold if it is left or right. So if we fold, then we have left and right sections. If it is left, we have failure, so we need to update our state, failure message option, and some failure, which is coming from here. Some means is some information, some value, let's say, okay, and none means nothing. But anyway, here we have no any none, right? Oh, here we have actually. And also we set is in progress as false if it is failure. Of course, it is just for the left side. What about the right side, unit side? Then we have unit, I mean nothing actually. We don't have to do anything here, because if we have no any failure, then we can understand that we verified our SMS code successfully, so it's correct. So apart from that, we have sign in with phone number section. So also we will have same things. We just set is in progress true and failure message option none, the default one, and then we cancel our subscription because we want to restart the sign in with phone number process again. So we cancel it and start. If user go back and want to start again, the process, then first we need to cancel and after that start it. Because of that, this code is here, and we set our subscription like using authentication service. It is not also coming from the Firebase, it's coming from our service, authentication service, IOUT service. Okay, so after setting phone number, timeout and resend token, we need to listen it. And you can ask, why do you use such thing in here? Because our token is tuple, as you know. It can be string or integer. I mean, it can be a phone number and resend token pair. For example, here it's string and here it's integer. It's related to our state's phone number, and resend token can be null, as you know. You can glance at all the functions in Firebase. It's not like a to-do application. It will take lots of time, of course. If you want to in-demand Flutter developer, then you need to work hard. Okay, anyway, we have listen function here, and what we listen actually? We listen on data section with the type of function either. So it seems a lot long actually, and big also. So we need to enter our function and we need to return some things. So it wants us to failure or verification ID. So it will decide if it is failure or verification ID to send verify SMS code function. Here we need to fold this value because it's either. After we fold, we have two options: add failure or tuple, I mean verification ID. So for failure, we just pass failure if it is exist. So if there is a value, if there's a failure value, then we just update our state. If there is not a failure, then we have verification ID resend token pair, because it can be verification ID and resend token. So we set like a pair. We use either, and either has two types, not three types. Because of that, we use tuple. Okay, and here again we need to update our state. Some value 1 and some value 2. What are the differences? For verification ID option, in our tuple we have string verification ID, and it called as value 1 here, first value, and phone number and resend token section we have integer, I mean actually tuple, because it wants us to enter a tuple with two variables. So we just set our phone number, which is coming from our state, old state, and our token here. It seems a bit complicated, but it's not, if you try to understand it deeply. Just focus. Okay, so if you don't understand this section, just watch it again, then you will understand. But still didn't you understand, then you can ask to me in the comment section. In the phone number signing Cubit section, we are done. And yeah, actually that's it for this section. I explained the state and Cubit sections, and now we can close our application folder. We are done in structure, so the remaining folder is presentation folder, and I explained the app widget section, I think. And then by the way, these things are the basic things you can understand exactly. There are some things that you should know. For example, in the landing page we use flow builder, as I said. For example, in the sign in section we have block listener, actually, which is coming from the Flutter block package. The type of the block listener is phone number sign-in qubit. Here we have state, as you know, and state has failure message option. And if we fold this variable, then we have authentication failure, as you know. And here we can show some things to the user if we have authentication failure. For example, if we have server error, then we show the user server error text, or for example, for the device not supported section, we can show the user device not supported text. And I remember that we did some things like this, and we wait 60 seconds, and we have no any SMS timeout text, right? We waited previously here, but as I said, in the instructor folder and Firebase out service section, I didn't do the retrieval timeout section. I mean, as you know, we have a normal timeout, but I don't know what's going on here for the timeout section. But anyway, let's go to back our sign-in page. So as I said, we have also reset function in the phone number sign-in qubit. So you can ask, what is this? What is this for? So we just reset all the things as before. Here, for example, we have created the initial state, and with the reset function, we just reset our state. Phone number is empty, is in progress, no it is not. And is phone number input validated? No, of course. And is there any failure message? No, there isn't, and etc. For the reset function is for this. And apart from that, as you know, we have sign-in page body and bottom section. And if we click to next button, then we need to go the verify section, confirmation page. But if the number input validated, of course, so we need to set this condition here. So for example, if you go back, if I do like such things, and if I try to click next button, then I can't go. Okay, so anyway, also we have which page? Verification page. And in the verification page, if we go back like this, wait a minute, oh Jesus, yeah, if we go back from here, then we again need to reset our state. Okay, because we have already entered our phone number, and we have already communicate with the Firebase here. Now we are waiting for the user to type SMS code. So we need to reset our state. Also, what we have nothing, I think, right? Oh, okay, we have, of course, verification confirm button. And here we have also a new condition. If states SMS code is not empty, then do some things. So we call the verify SMS code in here because we want to verify our SMS code, right? Now, if we click confirm button without entering our SMS code, there is no any action. Maybe you can ask resend code button section. Actually, we call the same function when we click the resend button. Here is our function which we wrote, and it returns verification ID, resend token pair, as you know. But as I said, you don't have to use functional programming. You can use directly these variables, but I'm sure that you will have a lot boilerplate code or let's say a lot of line of code. You can clone my project as well if you wish, but as I said, please don't forget to read these things, the readme file here. If you go below a bit, then you can see the readme. There are some packages important update. For example, I wrote with last commit. You can use the project with dependency injection and .z. If you don't want to use dependency injection or .z, you can use the previous codes I said. So if you go to commit section, then if you go to 31 May, here you can see the commit, related commit. Rewrite the logic with dependency injection and functional programming, and a normal stream subscription, but here I used with authentication user model, but this is the correct way and it is not related to functional programming, of course. But here, for example, we use .z, so you can see the either type which is coming from the .z or fb dot, let's say. And that's it for this video. Actually, by the way, I inspired from the dribble design. I found this design randomly and I implemented. This was a long video and thanks for watching. Of course, if you want to be in-demand Flutter developer, just subscribe this channel and hit the bell button. If you have any questions, just write down. Don't forget to share this video with the other developers. See you on the other videos.